episode of The Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Ever Broshears, or Sir Chad Ever Broshears to some, if you know, you know. And today's conversation is about, really, all of these are about character building. But it's do you talk about it or do you do it? And some of us need to talk about it enough until we convince ourselves to do it. And I've done that. Shit, I think actually it's probably the most common default for everybody. It's just talk about it a little bit, and as you get better, you get more mature, as you continue on, you start learning to do it. And you stop talking as much about it. It's interesting, like when you talk about it, people can talk you out of it. Hell, you can talk yourself out of it. Because it's like, how long have you been excited about doing something? And how many times do you bring it up before the excitement starts to leave you? And then before you know it, you're not even excited anymore. It's just like it's a conversation placekeeper. Quite possibly it's kind of an identity you have in communication with other people. It's like something that, other people might get excited about, or not necessarily excited, but just like they know it. There's a pattern of communication. It's like, what are you up to? You still up to that thing? It gets to that point where it becomes more of a chore, if you will, or elevator talk when it comes to that particular thing that you used to get so excited about, the thing that you really do need to just take action on. Talking about it, it's like sitting in the stands as you're watching a game. You make noise. The people around you really, like, after the game's over, they'll forget you. You'll forget the people around you. Think about when you are sitting in the stadium and you're looking, you're watching the game. How many people can you recall were sitting near you? Like, who was sitting next to you? Who stood out? That's an interesting thing, right? Like, specific things of need. If like you see, like, okay, there's an attractive person that's really attracted to you, then yeah, they may stand out a bit and a reference point or a place of daydreaming, if you will. But for the reality and the majority of it, nobody matters in that scenario. You're just not going to remember them. They're not going to stand out. Maybe if a guy pours a beer on another guy accidentally or intentionally, or a fight breaks out, something that's out of the normal, maybe. But the reality is that it's just talk. It's nothing that holds any kind of real value. Then there's the doing. You just get out there and you do it. And, people that talk also seem to have a habit of letting people that talk interrupt them while they're doing. Because it's the consistency of communication. You're doing stuff, somebody says something and it derails you. It kind of takes you out of it, but you're still out there practicing. You may not be on the team yet because you're not functional enough to be on the team, but you're out there practicing. You're on the field. You're doing stuff. But then somebody says something like, "Boo, you suck." And you're like, damn it. Kind of do feel like I suck right now. Yeah, probably. You know what? Let me take a break. I'm going to grab a towel, get some water, something. All right, some Gatorade. You really don't do much, It's like you do a little bit and then you let them stop you. They forget people are in the stand. They don't realize they're in the stand. They just focus on what they need to. They're on their thing, And then there's those people are the doers. When they get out there, they just do. And I'm in that process of, and actually I'm well into the doing, and I'm shedding some of the talking. Like, I talk, obviously. I do a lot of these videos. I do things like that. There's plenty of talking, but it's talking about exactly what I'm doing only to illustrate, the difference of opportunities and things. This is actually more of, even though I'm, sitting here in a video talking, this is the action. This is me doing. And I've got the naysayers. I've got people that offer critiques and, you shouldn't record in your car, it's too dark and I can't see you, or whatever the critique is. Well, hell, back whenever I was focused on talking with some doing, I would reduce my effort. I wouldn't do as much. Or it could affect me to take me off that process. So a unique challenge that's occurred for me is in that finance and business maturity area. It's got some community aspects to it as well, because the people that are involved, and I only mean the community that it's, there's other people involved that are, coworkers and things like that. So, but it's interesting. Like, you get humbled in life, and it's how you take it. And all humbled is that you have a specific degree of what you think you are and how you expect yourself to be and what you're capable of doing. And then life happens and it shows you that you either are or are not. And humbled produces, that is, where you are not what you quite thought you were. Well, there's a practice to put into affecting that experience of being humbled. Now, being humbled is sometimes, it's required because it's usually associated with a justice. Like, there's a sense of justification and satisfaction for people that believe you be arrogant. If you are arrogant, they used humbled as the, an antidote to it. I always seem to do that. I mispronounce that. I know the difference. It's just I mispronounce it when I say it. So you have that, the arrogance that people have, and then, they get satisfied whenever somebody gives them that dose of humble pie. And all it is, you don't have to be significantly arrogant. You don't have to have hubris, although people with hubris are often humbled. And it seems like it's spectator sport at that point, where other people are excited, they're happy to see somebody that demonstrates hubris be humbled. We also know that it's for their better good when that happens. So as we go through these things, we get these little experiences. So when I say humbled, I would say that it's not on a macrocosm. It's not something where a lot of people are going to be celebrating. It's more of where people, like, especially right now, for me specifically, there's people that are like, wow, I'm sorry, or anything I can do, or, I'm here for you, whatever it is. And it teaches you, obviously the people care, but I've got, this high degree of responsibility. I've got radical responsibility and radical accountability for myself. So I'll take on things that aren't directly my responsibility. Just do it, because you know what? I'm consuming my lessons at such a level that I want more, and I'll do it. It's just, my thing is, sometimes I lose sight of the resources I have to keep stable, and stabilize myself. That's part of the maturing process as well. Because you start taking on things that aren't your responsibility. That also means that you need to have the resources to continue being stable, and that's stable mentally, emotionally, financially, overall physically. It's like all of the aspects of what stable is. If you don't have the resources for it, then you destabilize, and then life becomes more chaotic and hectic, and including in areas that you were, well established. It can affect those areas too, and then start a sense of crisis about who you are, and self-reflection to the point of some sort of existential crisis in itself. It presents a lot of challenges that can show up. So with this is knowing that there is a conversation, that there's plenty of ways that you can just make the other person wrong. You can get into it, and you can make up stories about how somebody's failed you. And even in the reality of it, they very well may have failed you, or you relied on them for the support, guidance, and things like that. But what good does it do to just sit back and say, that's not my responsibility? See, my radical responsibility is that it is my fault. It is my responsibility, because what's behind that upset that's there, that has me want to blame others or to get into that, is lessons on how to become stronger, better, continuing to evolve. I refuse to give that up. I will not give that up. That is mine. Even if, the challenges bring great hardship, it's mine. Great hardship is, like getting a degree. It's so impactful and beneficial to you if you know how to go through the process and learn from it and develop yourself, and let that great hardship take off the rough edges of that diamond that your future, your goals and your future demand of you. So you take it on and say, screw it, man, I'm going after it. And this is me, man. My big picture, my goal is to be at this place. And for you, the viewers of this, my goal is to get to the point where it's it's kind of a combination of Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Tony Robbins, it's the greats, right? The people that really just say, screw it, I'm going to live my life my way, and I'm going to help as many people as I can. And that's my goal. And whether I reach that in my lifetime or not, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you that I will, outside of the fact that I have resolve. I have the constitution within myself to make it work. And no matter what, I'm going to continue to pursue that, regardless of what it costs me. So if that costs me my house, it costs me my car, if it costs me the relationships that truly are not the relationships of support in the process, I will be responsible, by the way, so I can clarify on that. So the relationships of support can be, as long as I'm responsible for exactly who I am when I'm that person and just continuing to hold integrity on that, then it's not going to be my response. It won't be my fault why a relationship like that would not hold. Could very well be that their attachment is that I be somebody that I'm not, to them, which is easy because we do this to people all the time. I talk about that when it comes to people loving you for who you are versus loving you for the idea of who you are. It's a love serious conversation that I have. So it can happen like that too. So this is more of a conversation and a video about when you know specifically something that you have had attachment to that has a livelihood value associated with you, like a job or a career, things like that. As I've mentioned before, I've had 4 careers in my life, and I'm not done. I give it everything I got for everything that I do, and it has significantly changed me because I continuously hold and anchor and give it everything you got. And be as true as you can about who you are, because that's the thing that's going to really turn you into your next level, really take you to that place. So, yeah, I am graciously going into a conversation that would crush so many other people. That has all kinds of values to it. Values about my thing is I'm attached to doing the best that I can no matter what it is that I do, and to realize that you have not met the mark that somebody else has expectation of you. And it's easy to do that. Again, it's the idea of you versus who you are, and all the bullshit that falls into that. Make people wrong about it and all the rest of this stuff. Give somebody else the lesson. Don't take it yourself. It's like, come on, man. Don't waste lessons. Take them on. Learn to be gracious in the face of adversity, because that's the character people talk about. We want to bring up Churchill and people like that, especially these wartime people that are just, man, they were just amazing when the moments were there. Working diligently to face that adversity and holding true to who they were, because they had the highest level of function at that moment. And it was something that humanity rewards by putting it into history. Be that person that really does stand up against the challenges. Hold it that you can do this in whatever method you want. I choose to be graceful whenever hard times show up. I choose to be as authentic as I can. But I don't say I choose to be graceful because I want to consider that it's going to be the best look for me. No, I choose to be graceful because that's the best way for me to learn through it all. See, one of the things that's about me whenever I'm in a situation where I know little to nothing about especially whenever it is associated with something important, like a career, things like that, I get quiet. I get very quiet because I'm assessing, I'm learning, I'm understanding the situation as best that I can. And I take my time to do that depending on what it takes in order to understand that situation. The more dynamic it is, the more complicated or complex it is, the less likely I am to speak for a while. Or I will have minimal communication because I'm there unless I'm required to talk. I'm there to learn. I know me. I'll ask questions. But I know to be patient. It's just like when you talk to somebody and they like to talk. You can still get so much out of that conversation, even if they seem like they use a lot of words to say a little. It's okay. Learn how to extract what they really mean and get the underlying value. They may feel like they're never heard, even though they speak all the time, because they don't carry the communication well. That's okay. Learn how to listen. It's at 2 mouths in 1 ear, use them proportionately. No, I'm sorry, 2 ears in 1 mouth. I hold myself in a very high level of responsibility and ethics, and to do things that are absolutely in the best interest of everyone. And the reality of who you are will show up whenever life is really challenging. When other people put themselves in a situation you're going through and they say, oh my God, how could you do that? How did you get through that? I've done it. I've willingly and have resigned from positions where, it could have been significant for me if I had stayed financially significant. Talking like early retirement and things like that, but just all kinds of great things. I could have came out of it, like when I worked for the power industry. Could have definitely have set myself up, and whomever my family would become at that time in my 20s. And everybody would have been financially secure, but I would have been miserable, and they would have been miserable, but I was miserable. So I decided I didn't want to do it. I've gone through the starving artist phase and had to eat the humble pie when I realized that, me becoming a better technician, a better personal trainer, a better guide and health proponent for people was becoming too smart in the technical side and not enough in the connecting side, not on the sales side of things weak. So, and I had to eat humble pie there, if you will, because it's really, I thought that I'd smart my way into things. And unfortunately, no, it's not unfortunate. It's just the way that I am. I've always chose to do the better thing and try to use methodical thinking and virtuous and ethical behaviors to increase the benefit of the outcome for everybody. So I'm saying a lot, and hopefully this is all landing, and I'm talking around the subject of something specific. The reality is that there's a pretty good chance that my current situation will end, very likely will end today or very soon, simply because of a mixed expectation with the ability to apply and everything else that's in there. And again, not offering anything that's not a lesson for myself. So things that you can learn from what you've been through. It's a maturity process, man. It's a maturity project. I refuse to just talk it. I will walk it. And as I've said before, and I'll say again, and I'll continue to say that, you're witnessing me in the process. You're witnessing me living it. You're not witnessing me, at the end of it all, or at some place of great accumulation to the point where, hey, I'm there, and you can just be inspired because I'm at this place, like I'm Zig Ziglar, and prior to the mental decline, or Earl Nightingale, or Jordan Peterson, where he is now, after Bill C-16 in Canada skyrocketed him to stardom and the conservative and that's actually more the conservative circles in the independent world, independent voters and things. So sure, I'm not at that level yet, but I'm also not where I started. And I refuse to wait until I get to that point where I'm the finished product and then I'll finally start talking about this stuff. Who am I not going to be able to inspire and support and develop along the way with me if I wait? Why does the people want a finished product before they even consider whether or not it has any value? So how much do we miss whenever something, people try things all the time. Shit, we're all trying things. Try things all the time. But we want credit for what we're trying, but yet we won't give credit to other people that are trying. And the other is, how many people are trying the right thing, but they don't have the understanding of when that becomes reality, when it becomes the fruit of their labor becomes available to them. So when does that happen? I'm sorry, not when. How often does it happen, and what lessons do we lose because we give up the benefit and the value of looking at, okay, you got halfway through that. You almost made it. You really did make great progress. We don't like to give people that kind of credit. We also don't want to learn those lessons, which is strange to me. But it seems to be a default that we have. It's either you got that $1 billion in your bank account or you don't matter. Or you have the influence of millions of people, or you influence millions of people, or you don't matter. Life's more like building a bridge. You don't want to start in the middle, because it doesn't really come to fruition very well. But life is like building a bridge. Your goals are like building a bridge. Just get yourself to the point where you're actually able to continue to connect things. Starting on one side. Better to start on the side you're on than the side that you're not. But be okay with the fact you're going to fail along the way. You got to learn to build the damn thing. But you keep going. You fall off, you fall into the water, you get back up, swim the shore, and you go back to it, man. If you need to take a break, rest enough that you can catch your breath and not feel like you're, killing yourself in the process. But then again, I'm the guy that's like, no, I can take a break whenever I can do it tomorrow. If you want to procrastinate, like for me, I prefer to procrastinate relaxation to tomorrow. I don't want to procrastinate progress to tomorrow. So if you want to procrastinate, pick something like that. If you really want to see your goals come to reality, I'll procrastinate my vacation, my rest time. It's a fault. But at the same time, I don't care. Right now, I'll relearn how to relax when the time is right. But for now, it's not. Life is opportunities to play a big game, and you can do it. I'm doing it. Going into a conversation with somebody and with people that you really do look up to. And I do, I admire people that own this company that I work with. I appreciate the opportunity that they've given me. I also am impressed by the way they see me, or at least the way they saw me. And then the responsibility of delivering on who that person is, but I don't fully qualify. I can't quantify everything about the way that they see me, because we haven't had the time to sit down and really get to know each other like that. But that's okay, because life isn't going to let you get to know everybody like that all the time. You do the best you can by being true to who you are, and you accept that you don't have that access to other people all the time. But you just keep being responsible for who you are. Now, for me, I'm responsible for the fact that when I don't know something, I'm quiet. When you're quiet, you leave a void for other people to assume things. Add in the importance of what their expectations of you are, and then the likelihood of them assuming things that are in your favor kind of diminish if they don't know exactly when they should see the results that you're working on, or if they don't know exactly what you're working on, period. So there's all of these challenges. For me, being graceful will allow me to really take in these lessons, as the likelihood is the next probably 5 hours something's going to change, and the future projections that I was working off of, including the financial world, is associated with that change in a way that will be impacted. And then it's more of, okay, my skill set is also in reinventing myself. My skill set also has strengthened when it comes to letting go of what I'm attached to, so that I don't drag myself through an unnecessary grinder of stress when I can simply just say, yeah, things are going to change. I accept that life is a roller coaster, because it sure as shit is. You're not always going to be on a high. Because it's actually, when you really think it's going to keep going up, man, it does take a turn. And it's who you be when those turns happen. So, with that, the goal is to be as graceful as you can. That's for me, to be as graceful as I can. Sometimes it does require that you are just angry and you express anger. I would say reduce violence as much as you can, because that's never really the outcome to physical violence. Really, typically is not very good for your long-term well-being, unless it's a situation that really calls for it, like war itself. Like, can't march around, declaring peace when the moment requires that, violence isn't a necessary thing. So there are the extremes to this, but I would say that the majority of the things you do in your life don't require that. Just keep looking at who you are, understand what you're doing and how you're going through things, and then see what that actually turns you into. But if you sit there and you make meaning to it that just continues to break you apart, see, nothing's wrong with taking yourself apart in a way that you're understanding the building blocks that you've been relying on, and then reorganizing those in such a way that you can come up with a better outcome in the future. So you take apart the little pieces that you have that build up this wall that you think is you, and then you can reassociate those pieces back into what you really are, based off of where you realize there was some ingredient issues, there were some problems in the way that it was constructed that does not line up with who you want to be and who you believe you are. And then you take that and you say, you may have knocked my wall down, but thank you for reorganizing my opportunities to be the person that I'm becoming. Yeah. So life's going to bring those stressors, man. Pressure comes, stomachs get empty. People that rely on you for specific things get disappointed. But let that stuff be the thing that you remix that material back into, that gives you the opportunity to become the person that you are becoming. It's a beautiful thing whenever you can reconstruct yourself. That's one of the skill sets that I have, is that ability to rebuild who I am. So, all right. Well, that's it for today's video. We'll see what tomorrow's video looks like. Yeah. So how about this? Look, the world really does need us, and we got to go through the things necessary that we do need to go through in order to become the person that the world really needs us to be. We got to work on ourselves first. If you can't make your bed, you can't do the basic tasks and chores necessary to build the right foundation of consistent discipline in order to be the person that's necessary. When you get to that higher level, you may be surprised what it turns you into. Live long enough as a hero to become a villain, kind of thing. I'd rather not ever become a villain. So I'm going to continue to take a little piece of that humble pie, even though, again, most people wouldn't recognize it or think that I'm, being humbled. I do, because it's about that inner microcosm of my thoughts about who I am and what I can do and how I can be, and that versus the bigger macro humble value, which is what people expect for people that go through hubris or arrogance. We seem to cheer on the opportunities to humble them because we know it'll bring them back into societal norms that can really be functional and stop being so chaotic for them. Anyway, well, as it stands, we really do need to work on ourselves. So let's get to it. Okay, the path to hell is paved with good intentions, and our society is so geared towards a superhighway to get us to hell. It's incredible. We need to get as many people to interrupt that as possible. Best way to do that is to know who you are. And I choose the Maturity Project as the vehicle that I develop myself through. And I hope you join me with that process. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet. Like the video, help me the algorithm move this thing up. Share this video with people in your life you want to break the ice with. It's a huge benefit to be able to start a conversation that can make change. And you can use this as part of that jumping off point. So until next time, I am your host, Chad Everett Broshears, or Sir Chad Everett Broshears to some. If you know, you know. And this is the Maturity Project. Let's get to it. All right. Join me in this, will you? See ya.